My beloved one, pause for a moment, because this is not appearing in your life by chance. There is a sacred urgency wrapped around this message, and it is pressing gently yet firmly against your spirit right now. Archangel Michael stands with unwavering focus, and Jesus, in his deep compassion, is reaching toward you. They are not forcing you. They are not chasing you. But they are pleading, do not walk away from this moment. Something divine is being released right now, and timing matters more than you realize. Listen carefully. Heaven is quiet only when a door is about to close. And today, guidance is standing at that doorway, waiting to see if you will step closer, or turn away distracted, unsure, or tired. This is not about fear. This is about alignment. You have prayed for clarity, for protection, for direction, and heaven has heard every whisper. But answers require presence. Messages require attention. And guidance requires obedience of the heart. Archangel Michael is showing me a vision of you standing at a crossroads. One path feels familiar, safe, predictable. The other feels uncertain, stretching your faith beyond comfort. And here is the revelation that may shock you. Both paths are open, but only one carries heaven's active guidance. The other leads forward, yes, but without the covering you've been asking for. This is why the warning feels intense. Not because you are in danger, but because you are chosen for more, and heaven refuses to stay silent while you drift. Jesus is speaking gently now. He says you have been carrying silent exhaustion, smiling on the outside, but inside, you've been questioning whether you still hear him clearly. You've wondered if the sign stopped, if the peace faded, if the connection weakened. Hear this truth. He never moved away from you. But distraction has been loud, and spiritual sensitivity requires stillness. That is why this message feels like a tug on your chest. It is a reminder, not a rebuke. Archangel Michael is assigned to moments of decision. He does not appear for ordinary days. He comes when spiritual alignment determines future outcomes. And he is saying this clearly. If you walk away from this nudge, from this pause, from this call to listen, you are not losing heaven, but you are delaying the clarity heaven is ready to give. Guidance is being offered now, not later, not someday when things feel easier. There is something specific you have been asking God about. A situation involving responsibility, movement, or a shift you've been avoiding. You told yourself you'd decide later. But later is not promised clarity, obedience is. And this is why Jesus is asking you to stay with this message. Because the next instruction, the next confirmation, the next peace-filled direction is tied to your willingness to remain present. Do not misunderstand this moment. Heaven is not threatening you. Heaven is inviting you. There is a difference. An invitation can be declined, but the cost is unseen until later. And Archangel Michael is showing that if you ignore this release, the door does not slam. It slowly closes. Not forever, but long enough to cause confusion, delay, and unnecessary struggle. You were meant to move with guidance, not guesswork. You were meant to walk covered, not questioning every step. And Jesus says this with love. Stay with me here. Not because he needs your attention, but because you need his direction for what comes next. Right now, something is shifting in the spiritual atmosphere around you. Old resistance is weakening. Mental noise is settling. But this only continues if you choose to remain open. The enemy does not need to stop you. Distraction will do. That is why walking away seems harmless. But heaven sees the bigger picture. Archangel Michael is lifting his sword, not in battle, but in protection. He is guarding a path meant specifically for you. A path that brings peace, not pressure. Clarity, not confusion. But this protection activates when you say yes in your spirit. When you decide, I will listen. I will stay. I will not rush past what God is doing. Jesus is reminding you of something you already know deep down. You are not meant to navigate this season alone. Guidance is not optional for where you're going. It is essential. And the fact that you are hearing this now is proof that heaven is still actively involved in your journey. So take a breath. Let your heart settle. This is only the beginning of what is being revealed. What comes next will bring understanding, confirmation, and a peace that feels unmistakable. But only if you remain open long enough to receive it. Chosen soul, there is a deeper reason your spirit feels stirred instead of settled. What you are sensing right now is not emotion. It is recognition. Heaven is speaking in a frequency your soul remembers, even if your mind is still trying to catch up. Archangel Michael is stepping closer, not to overwhelm you, but to steady you. His presence always brings clarity before movement, because God never rushes his children into confusion. And Jesus is watching your response, not with judgment, but with expectation, knowing that awareness changes everything. You may not realize this, but moments like these create spiritual momentum. When you lean in instead of leaning away, unseen doors begin to unlock. That heaviness you felt lately, the sense that something is unfinished, unresolved, or waiting, that is not failure. That is anticipation. It is the tension before alignment. And heaven does not waste moments of anticipation. He responds to them. Archangel Michael is revealing that you have been under quiet protection for longer than you know. Situations that should have broken you somehow didn't. Decisions that could have gone wrong were redirected. This was not luck. This was guidance operating even when you were unsure. But now, the season is changing. Passive protection is shifting into active direction. And direction requires your participation. Jesus is speaking now with tenderness. He says you have been faithful in surviving, but now he is inviting you to start discerning. There is a difference. Survival keeps you standing. Discernment moves you forward. And forward is where heaven is calling you. That is why this message is pressing you to engage instead of observe. You are not meant to just hear this. You are meant to respond inwardly. There are people connected to your obedience. People who will benefit from the clarity you receive. Your alignment affects more than your own life. And that is why the enemy works hardest at distraction, because distraction feels harmless while slowly disconnecting you from divine flow. But today, awareness breaks that pattern. Today, you are choosing presence. As this message reaches you, something unseen is being adjusted. Your spiritual sensitivity is sharpening. Your intuition is awakening again. You may notice subtle shifts, clearer thoughts, calmer emotions, a sudden knowing. This is not coincidence. This is heaven confirming that you are paying attention. Archangel Michael does not intervene without purpose, and Jesus does not call without intention. If this message resonates, if it feels like it is speaking directly to you, this is the moment to acknowledge it outwardly. Not because heaven needs proof, but because engagement strengthens reception. When you like this video, when you leave a comment, when you share it with someone who needs encouragement, you are participating in the flow of the message. It signals agreement. It signals openness. And it helps this word reach others who are standing at their own crossroads. Subscribing to this channel is not just about notifications. It is about staying connected to messages meant to guard, guide, and strengthen your spirit. There are seasons when we need reminders more than motivation. And this is one of those seasons. If your heart feels stirred, take that simple step. Join the space. Let it become part of your spiritual rhythm. Archangel Michael is emphasizing something important now. Guidance is not loud. It is consistent. And consistency requires connection. When you stay connected, when you show up, when you engage, clarity builds layer by layer. You are not behind. You are right on time, but only if you continue walking with intention. Jesus is reminding you that faith grows through action, not just understanding. Even small actions matter. A comment type in faith, a share done with love, a decision to stay connected. These are seeds, and seeds always produce harvest when planted with sincerity. There is also a protective element being released over those who actively engage with this message. Not because of the platform, but because agreement invites covering. When you align with truth, truth aligns with you. Archangel Michael stands guard over aligned hearts. That is his role. That is his assignment. As you continue listening, expect something to shift internally. Expect clarity where there was fog. Expect peace where there was restlessness. Expect confirmation where there was doubt. This is not emotional hype. This is spiritual order being restored. Before you move on, take a moment. Engage with this message in a tangible way. Like it. Comment what you are feeling. Share it with someone who may be silently struggling. Subscribe so you remain connected to what heaven continues to release here. And if you feel called, explore membership, because deeper messages require deeper spaces. Hold on, because what is coming next brings a revelation that will connect everything you've been feeling lately in a way you did not expect. My precious child, now the veil grows thinner, and what was hidden begins to surface gently, not to frighten you, but to free you. Archangel Michael is standing in authority beside you right now, not as a distant guardian, but as an active defender of your destiny. He is not here by accident. He is here because something you almost missed is being brought back into alignment. And Jesus is speaking with quiet intensity, saying this moment matters more than you know. There has been a silent battle around your discernment. Not chaos, not obvious resistance, but subtle dulling. A numbing of urgency. A feeling of later where heaven was saying now. And understand this clearly. The enemy did not need to push you off your path. He only needed you to pause long enough to doubt whether the path mattered. But that strategy is losing its grip as you listen right now. Archangel Michael is revealing that a decision you postponed was not delayed by accident. It was delayed because the timing required your spiritual awareness to rise first. You were not ready before, but you are becoming ready now. This is why this message carries weight. This is why Jesus is urging you not to turn away. Not because danger is chasing you, but because purpose is approaching. You may have felt a strange inner pressure lately, like something is calling you forward while something else pulls you back. That tension is not confusion. It is transition. Old comfort is loosening its hold. New direction is drawing closer. And heaven is watching which voice you will follow. Familiarity or faith. Jesus is reminding you of a promise you once held tightly but slowly stopped expecting. You didn't lose faith. You protected your heart. But protection can quietly be a limitation. And now, with compassion, he is asking you to open that place again. Because what he promised is not expired. It has been preserved. Archangel Michael is lifting a standard over you right now, signaling that this is a protected season for clarity. It means the thoughts you receive, the nudges you feel, the confirmations you notice. Pay attention. Heaven is speaking in patterns. repeated words, repeated themes, repeated invitations. None of them are random. There is also a warning wrapped in love. If you ignore this stirring long enough, life will fill the space with noise. Not destruction, just distraction. Responsibilities, opinions, delays. And slowly, guidance will feel faint, not gone, but harder to hear. That is why this moment is precious. Awareness keeps the channel open. Jesus says something deeply personal now. He says you are not behind. You are not late. But you are at a hinge point. The direction you lean determines the ease of what comes next. Obedience now reduces struggle later. Listening now prevents regret later. And he says this not as a threat but as a gift of foresight. Archangel Michael's presence intensifies when destinies are being safeguarded. And he is guarding more than your next step. He is guarding your peace. The peace that comes from knowing you are walking with heaven's approval, not just your own reasoning. Let this truth settle in you. You are not being rushed. You are being invited to align. Alignment feels different than pressure. It brings calm even before answers appear. And if you feel that calm slowly replacing anxiety as you listen, that is confirmation. This message is not ending here. It is unfolding. And as it unfolds, your spirit is being strengthened to receive what is next without fear. You are safe in this process. You are seen in this moment. You are guided in this season. Now receive this activation with faith. Type "I receive divine guidance" in the comments if this message is speaking directly to your spirit. Blessing code 1147 has just been released over your life. And hear this final invitation, flowing naturally from what has just been revealed. As this divine message reaches you, I feel led to speak directly to those whose hearts are burning right now. This work is not about a channel. It is about souls standing at crossroads just like you. When you give through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are sowing oil into a lamp that is lighting the path for others. The Lord says, "Those who water will themselves be watered," and this is a living word, active in this very moment. I speak blessing over every seed released in obedience, that your generosity will open streams where there were dry places. Do not delay what God is prompting. Act now. Support this mission boldly, because heaven records every obedient response, and your harvest will speak for itself. Beloved one, as you move deeper into this message, something subtle yet powerful is taking place within you. What once felt distant is now becoming personal. Archangel Michael is not only guarding your path, he is sharpening your spiritual awareness. This is the phase where understanding begins to replace uncertainty. And Jesus is gently leading you into truth that does not overwhelm, but steadies your heart. There has been a pattern in your life that you could never fully explain. Moments when things always work out, always aligned, always became what you hoped for. You blame timing. You blame circumstances. Sometimes you blamed yourself. But heaven is revealing something important now. Those pauses were not failures, they were protections. You were being held back until your spirit could carry what your future requires. Archangel Michael is revealing that you are entering a season where shortcuts would cost too much. That is why guidance is being emphasized so strongly. The next steps of your life require precision, not speed. And precision only comes through listening. You may have felt frustrated by delays, but those delays prevented you from stepping into situations that would have drained your peace and distracted your purpose. Jesus is speaking directly to the weariness you tried to hide. He knows there were days you prayed without words, nights you questioned silently, and moments you wondered if your obedience mattered. He says this clearly now: every unseen act of faith has been recorded. Nothing was wasted. Not a single tear. Not a single prayer whispered in exhaustion. As this truth settles, Archangel Michael is adjusting your spiritual posture. You are being repositioned from defense into readiness. Defense protects what you have. Readiness prepares you for what is coming. And what is coming requires courage, not the loud kind, but the quiet kind that trusts God even without full details. There is also a release happening around your mind. Old fears are losing authority. Repetitive thoughts that once strained you are beginning to loosen their grip. This is not something you forced. This is something happening because you chose to remain open. Heaven responds to openness more than effort. Jesus is reminding you of a simple but powerful truth. Guidance often feels ordinary while it is happening. It is only later that you realize how precise it was. That is why he asks you to trust even when clarity unfolds slowly. Faith is not about seeing everything at once. It is about walking one step at a time with confidence in who is leading you. Archangel Michael is now showing a protective boundary being drawn around your energy. Not everyone needs access to you in this next season. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Discernment will be key. You will feel a natural pull toward what is aligned and a quiet resistance toward what is not. Trust that. It is not withdrawal, it is wisdom. You may notice changes in your desires. Things that once excited you may feel empty. Things you once ignored may suddenly matter. This is alignment at work. When heaven adjusts direction, he also adjusts appetite. You not fight this shift. It is preparing you for sustainability, not just success. Jesus is also addressing something you have been afraid to release. A role, a habit, a relationship, or a version of yourself that no longer fits. Letting go feels risky because it removes familiarity, but holding on would cost more in the long run. And he assures you that whatever you release in obedience will be replaced with something that carries peace, not pressure. Archangel Michael stands firm during transitions because transitions are vulnerable moments. He is guarding you against impulsive decisions and emotional reactions. This is a season to move thoughtfully, prayerfully, and with confidence that you are not alone in discernment. Take a moment to recognize how far you've already come. The fact that you are still listening is proof of growth. The fact that your heart feels steadier is evidence of alignment. You are not waiting for guidance. It is already active around you. As you continue forward, expect confirmation to meet you in unexpected ways. A conversation, a repeated phrase, a sense of peace when making a certain choice. These are not coincidences. They are markers along the path. Remain present. Remain receptive. What is unfolding now is building towards something meaningful. And you will recognize it not by force, but by peace. Year 1. Something is settling into place now, and it may feel quieter than you expected. That quiet is not emptiness. It is order. Archangel Michael is standing watch as heaven rearranges what has been misaligned, and Jesus is inviting you into a deeper trust that does not demand constant reassurance. This part of the journey is about stability, about learning how to stand firm without needing to see every outcome in advance. You have entered a phase where emotions no longer lead the way. Discernment does. That may feel unfamiliar. In the past, urgency pushed you, fear warned you, excitement motivated you. But now, peace is becoming the signal. When something is right, you will feel grounded, not rushed. When something is wrong, you will feel unsettled, even if it looks good on the surface. This is spiritual maturity unfolding. Archangel Michael is emphasizing discipline in small choices. Not restriction, but awareness. The words you speak, the thoughts you entertain, the conversations you allow to influence you. All of these shape the environment you are walking through. Protection is not only external, it is also cultivated internally. And you are learning how to guard your spirit without closing your heart. Jesus is speaking gently to the part of you that fears losing momentum. He says the slowing is intentional. Growth that lasts is never hurried. What is being built now needs a strong foundation, not quick results. You are not falling behind. You are being rooted. And roots grow quietly, unseen, before anything visible appears. There may be moments when you question whether anything is changing at all. On the surface, life may look similar. Responsibilities remain. Routines continue. But beneath that surface, alignment is deepening. Old reactions are losing power. Old triggers are weakening. You are responding instead of reacting. That is evidence of transformation. Archangel Michael is showing that this season is also about learning when not to fight. Not every challenge requires confrontation. Some require patience. Some require distance. Some resolve themselves when you refuse to engage emotionally. This discernment will save you energy for what truly matters. Jesus is also reminding you that obedience does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels like choosing rest instead of proving yourself. Sometimes it feels like saying no when you used to say yes. Sometimes it feels like trusting God in silence rather than explaining yourself. These quiet obediences carry great weight in the spiritual realm. You may begin to notice a new clarity about people in your life. Not judgment, but understanding. You will see who brings peace and who brings confusion, who respects your boundaries and who resists them. This clarity is not meant to isolate you, but to protect your progress. Not everyone can walk with you into the next season. Archangel Michael is reinforcing boundaries now. Not walls, but gates. You decide what enters. You decide what stays. And you decide what leaves. This authority has always been yours, but now you are learning how to use it without guilt. Jesus is speaking reassurance over your future. He says you do not need to strive for what is meant for you. What is aligned will recognize you. What is ordained will not require you to abandon your peace to obtain it. If something demands that you compromise your values or ignore your discernment, it is not from Him. There is also healing happening in how you view yourself. Old labels are fading. Old narratives are losing credibility. You are no longer defined by past mistakes or delayed outcomes. Heaven sees you as prepared, not lacking. Hateable, not uncertain. And this shift in identity will influence every decision you make going forward. Archangel Michael is still guarding the process, but you are becoming more confident in your ability to hear and respond. You will notice less second-guessing, less overthinking, more calm certainty. This does not mean you will never question. It means doubt will no longer dominate. As you continue listening, let this truth anchor you. Guidance is not something you chase. It is something you cooperate with. And you are cooperating beautifully. Step by step. Thought by thought. Choice by choice. Remain patient with yourself. Remain open to refinement. What is forming now will support what is coming next. And when the next movement begins, you will recognize it, not by pressure, but by peace that feels unmistakably right. Beloved soul, you are now standing in a space where preparation quietly turns into activation. What has been forming within you is beginning to ask for expression. Archangel Michael is present again, not to announce something dramatic, but to ensure that what emerges from this season is protected, steady, and guided. Jesus is inviting you to notice how differently you are responding to life compared to before. That difference is not accidental. It is evidence that alignment is taking root. There was a time when uncertainty easily unsettled you, when waiting felt unbearable, when silence made you assume something was wrong. But now, silence feels fuller, waiting feels purposeful, and uncertainty no longer threatens your peace the way it once did. This is growth that cannot be faked. It only comes through walking patiently with God, moment by moment, without rushing the process. Archangel Michael is showing that your discernment is becoming sharper because your spirit is calmer. Fear clouds judgment, but peace clarifies it. That is why heaven has been working so intentionally on your inner state. Before opening new doors, God ensures you can walk through them without carrying unnecessary anxiety. Jesus is speaking about trust again, but at a deeper level. Not trust that asks for signs every step, but trust that rests even when signs are subtle. He says you are learning how to lean on Him without constantly needing reassurance. This kind of faith anchors you when external conditions fluctuate. You may notice that certain situations no longer trigger the same emotional reactions. Things that once pulled you into overthinking now pass through your awareness without staying. This does not mean you care less. It means you are more grounded. You are no longer living from emotional extremes. You are living from discernment. Archangel Michael is also highlighting the importance of consistency in this season. Small, faithful choices matter more now than big declarations. Staying connected, staying prayerful, staying aware. These practices keep you aligned even when life becomes busy. Protection is sustained through consistency, not intensity. Jesus is encouraging you to remain connected to what is nourishing your spirit. Messages like this are part of that nourishment. When you engage, when you interact, when you stay present, you are reinforcing spiritual habits that support long-term clarity. That is why engaging with this message matters. Liking this video, commenting what resonates, and sharing it with someone who may need encouragement helps strengthen the flow of what God is doing here. Subscribing to this channel is also an act of intention. It says you are choosing to stay connected to messages that align you rather than distract you. And if you feel led, becoming a member creates a deeper space for consistent spiritual support during seasons like this. These are not small actions. They are ways of staying positioned for guidance. Archangel Michael is reminding you that alignment thrives in environments where truth is welcomed. When you actively participate, through comments, shares, and engagement, you are helping cultivate that environment not only for yourself, but for others who may be quietly searching for reassurance. Here is also a retention of peace happening now. Even when challenges arise, they no longer feel overwhelming. You may still feel pressure, but it does not control you. You may still face decisions, but you are not paralyzed by them. This stability is preparing you for responsibility that requires calm leadership rather than reactive behavior. Jesus is preparing you for conversations that will require wisdom, for choices that will affect others, and for opportunities that will require discernment rather than impulse. You are being shaped not just for personal peace, but for influence that carries integrity. If at any point you feel tempted to disengage, to scroll past moments like these, pause and remember why this message reached you in the first place. There is continuity here. Each layer builds on the last, and what unfolds next connects directly to what you have already sensed but not fully understood. Take a moment now to stay engaged. Like the video if this resonates. Share it if you know someone who is quietly navigating a similar season. Leave a comment expressing what you are sensing or feeling. Subscribe if you have not yet, so you remain connected to what continues to unfold here. These simple actions keep you aligned with the flow of guidance. Hold on, because what is coming next brings clarity to a question you have been carrying internally, even if you have not spoken it out loud yet. Beloved one, now we move into a place where understanding deepens without noise. What you are receiving now is not instruction shouted from the heavens, but wisdom whispered into your spirit. Archangel Michael remains near, steady and alert, because this stage requires protection of insight. Jesus is guiding you gently, allowing truth to settle rather than rush, because what you are learning now will shape how you walk forward for a long time. There is a question you have carried quietly, perhaps without words. It shows up as a feeling rather than a sentence. A sense of wondering whether you are truly aligned, whether you are making the right choices, whether the path you are on will actually lead to peace. Heaven has heard that unspoken question, and the answer is unfolding through clarity, not pressure. Archangel Michael is revealing that you are learning to distinguish between urgency that comes from fear and movement that comes from faith. Fear-driven urgency always demands immediate action. Faith-driven movement allows space to breathe, pray, and discern. You are becoming skilled at telling the difference. That is why certain things no longer rush you. You are no longer easily pushed into decisions that do not sit well in your spirit. Jesus is speaking reassurance into your awareness. He says that when he leads, he never competes with chaos. His guidance carries peace even when it stretches you. If something demands you abandon your inner calm to pursue it, that is a sign to pause. You are being trained to recognize peace as confirmation, not excitement alone. You may notice that your internal dialogue is changing. Where you once criticized yourself, you are now more patient. Where you once assumed the worst, you are now curious instead of fearful. This is not accidental. It is healing. Heaven is restoring how you see yourself so you can move forward without dragging old wounds into new seasons. Archangel Michael is also revealing that discernment is becoming more relational for you. You are learning to sense alignment not just in situations, but in people. You will feel drawn to those who bring clarity and drained by those who bring confusion. This is not judgment. It is awareness. And awareness protects your energy without isolating your heart. Jesus is reminding you that not every connection is meant to be permanent. Some people walk with you for a season, some for a lesson, some for a lifetime. Releasing a connection does not mean failure. Sometimes it means obedience. And obedience always creates room for what is next. There is also an invitation here to trust your spiritual maturity. You have grown more than you realize. The fact that you are listening, reflecting, and allowing this message to settle is proof of that growth. You no longer need constant external validation to know when something is right or wrong. God is strengthening your internal compass. Archangel Michael stands guard especially during times of increased clarity, because clarity brings responsibility. When you see more, you are accountable for how you respond. But do not let that thought burden you. Heaven does not reveal truth to pressure you. It reveals truth to empower you. Jesus is speaking about timing now. He says you do not need to force what is meant to unfold naturally. Alignment has its own rhythm. When the time is right, movement will feel almost effortless. Doors will open without struggle. Conversations will happen without strain. Until then, your role is to remain present, prayerful, and open. You may experience moments where you feel tempted to revert to old patterns, especially when things feel uncertain. That does not mean you are regressing. It means you are human. Awareness is what matters. When you notice those old impulses without acting on them, you are choosing growth over comfort. Archangel Michael is reinforcing protection over your thought life. What you entertain mentally shapes what you experience spiritually. You are being guided to release thought patterns that no longer serve you. Worry that goes nowhere. Self-doubt that offers nothing. Comparison that steals joy. These are being gently replaced with discernment, confidence, and peace. Jesus is also reminding you that faith does not mean never feeling unsure. It means choosing trust even when certainty feels incomplete. You are allowed to ask questions. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to seek understanding. What matters is that you keep your heart open to guidance. As this part of the message comes to rest within you, take note of how your spirit feels. Not rushed, not pressured, just aware. That awareness is a gift. It is the foundation for what comes next. Remain here. Remain open. What is unfolding is steady, intentional, and guided. And you are exactly where you need to be. My dear one, as you arrive at this moment, something sacred is happening beneath the surface. This is not a loud breakthrough. It is a quiet unlocking. Archangel Michael is standing firmly beside you, not in urgency, but in authority, because what is being released now must be protected as it settles into your spirit. Jesus is speaking with calm certainty, letting you know that the guidance you have been sensing is no longer forming. It is activating. You are crossing from preparation into application. What you have learned internally is beginning to shape how you move externally. This is why certain decisions now feel easier than before. You are not overanalyzing everything. You are trusting what brings peace. And that trust is not naive. It is refined. Archangel Michael is revealing that you are entering a season where clarity will come faster, but responsibility will increase. Not burden, responsibility. You will notice that your choices carry more weight, not because they are harder, but because they are more intentional. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding with awareness. Jesus is reminding you that obedience does not always look like action. Sometimes it looks like restraint. Sometimes it looks like waiting when you could move. Sometimes it looks like walking away even when staying feels easier. This level of obedience is quiet, but heaven honors it deeply. There hath been a subtle fear you carried about missing God's will. That fear is dissolving now, not because mistakes disappeared, but because your sensitivity has increased. You are learning how to course-correct quickly, gently, without shame. Heaven is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to be present. Archangel Michael is emphasizing protection over your future choices. You are being shielded from impulsive decisions that would have cost you peace later. This protection does not remove free will. It enhances discernment. You will feel a pause where you once felt pressure. You will feel clarity where you once felt confusion. Jesus is speaking about trust in a new way. He says trust is no longer something you practice only when things go wrong. It is becoming your default posture. You are beginning to expect guidance rather than hope for it. That expectation changes how you walk. It steadies your steps. You may notice that certain desires are becoming clearer, while others are fading. This is not loss. It is refinement. What fades was never meant to last. What remains will carry fruit. You not grieve what no longer fits. Thank God for revealing it gently. Archangel Michael is also highlighting the importance of staying connected in this season. Not isolated, not overwhelmed, but aligned. Messages like this are part of that alignment. When you stay engaged, when you remain open, when you choose to listen rather than rush ahead, you are allowing guidance to remain active. If this message is speaking to you, let your engagement reflect that alignment. When you like this video, when you comment, when you share it, you are not just interacting, you are agreeing. You are saying yes to clarity. You are helping this message reach others who may be standing at the same threshold you once stood at. Subscribing and staying connected here is also part of that agreement. Guidance unfolds over time, not in isolation. And when you choose to remain connected, you are choosing consistency over convenience. That choice matters more than you realize. Jesus is gently reminding you that growth requires nourishment. And nourishment comes through what you consistently allow into your spirit. Stay with what strengthens you. Stay with what brings peace. Stay with what aligns you rather than drains you. Now receive this activation with intention. Type "I am walking in alignment" in the comments if your spirit confirms this message. Blessing code 2284 is now activated over your life. And as this truth settles, hear this invitation flowing directly from what you've just received. This message is not meant to stop with you. It is meant to reach hearts that are still searching, still tired, still uncertain. When you give through super thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are sowing into a living stream that carries light where confusion once ruled. The Lord is saying, what you release in obedience, I will multiply in purpose. This is not a donation. It is a prophetic response. I speak blessing over every seed sown, that it will return to you pressed down, strengthened, and overflowing with peace. Act now. Support this mission boldly. Obedience in this moment opens doors you cannot yet see. Let your heart remain open. What comes next brings resolution to something you have been quietly asking God about. Beloved one, what you are stepping into now is resolution, not in the sense of everything being answered at once, but in the sense that inner conflict is finally losing its voice. Archangel Michael remains present, steady and alert, because this stage is about stabilizing what has been activated. Jesus is speaking with reassurance, letting you know that the questions you carried are no longer meant to control you. They have served their purpose, and now they are being replaced with confidence that feels calm, not forced. You may notice that your thoughts are quieter lately, not empty but organized. Where there was once a constant need to analyze, you now feel permission to rest in what you already know. This is not complacency. It is trust settling in. Trust that God is guiding you even when you are not consciously thinking about every step. Archangel Michael is showing that your inner foundation has strengthened. This matters because stability attracts the right outcomes. When you are grounded, you no longer chase validation. You recognize alignment when it appears. You are not swayed by urgency or comparison. You are anchored. Jesus is addressing something important now. He says that clarity does not always come with dramatic signs. Sometimes it comes as a deep sense of rightness that does not need explanation. You are learning to honor that sense rather than dismiss it. This is wisdom. There may still be moments of uncertainty. That is normal. But notice how those moments pass more quickly now. They no longer spiral into fear. They pause, then dissolve. That is because you are no longer alone with your thoughts. You are inviting God into them consistently, even without words. Archangel Michael is also highlighting the importance of maintaining boundaries around your time and energy. As clarity increases, distractions will try to re-enter. Not aggressively, but subtly. Invitations that sound appealing but drain you. Obligations that feel familiar but misaligned. Discernment will guide you if you remain attentive. Either the good and you have intended choosing what nourishes you spiritually. Not everything that looks good is good for you. Not every opportunity is yours to carry. Peace will always be the measure. If something consistently steals your peace, it deserves reevaluation. You may also notice that your prayers are changing. They are becoming simpler, less anxious, War trusting. Instead of asking God to fix everything, you are inviting Him to walk with you through it. This shift pleases heaven. It shows maturity and confidence in relationship. Archangel Michael is reinforcing protection over your emotional space. You are being shielded from unnecessary worry and emotional overload. But this protection works best when you honor it by resting when needed, saying no when necessary, and listening when something feels off. Jesus is also speaking about gratitude now. Gratitude anchors alignment. When you acknowledge how far you have come, you strengthen your awareness of God's presence. You do not need to force positivity. Simply notice what has changed. The calm, the clarity, the steadiness. These are gifts. There is a gentle warning here as well. Do not underestimate this season by rushing past it. This stabilization is preparing you for movement that requires confidence. If you skip this grounding phase, future steps may feel heavier than they need to. Allow this calm to do its work. Archangel Michael remains watchful, ensuring that what is settling into you is not easily shaken. You are being fortified from the inside out. This is not temporary. It is foundational. Jesus is reassuring you that you are not expected to have everything figured out before moving forward. You are only expected to remain connected. Guidance unfolds as you walk, not before. Trust that each step will be illuminated when you reach it. As you sit with this part of the message, notice your breathing. Notice your posture. Notice how your body responds when your mind is at peace. This is alignment felt physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Remain patient. Remain aware. What is forming now will support the next movement when it comes. And when it does, you will not feel rushed. You will feel ready. Stay present. The final stages of this message will bring closure, confirmation, and a blessing that seals what has been unfolding all along. Beloved child, you are now entering a moment where everything you have been receiving begins to ask for embodiment. This is no longer only about understanding or inner peace. It is about how that peace starts to shape your daily life. Archangel Michael is present with firm gentleness, ensuring that what you carry now is not shaken by external noise. Jesus is walking closely with you, reminding you that faith is not proven by intensity, but by consistency. There is a noticeable shift happening in how you approach your days. You are less reactive, less hurried, more aware. Situations that once felt overwhelming now feel manageable, not because they disappeared, but because your inner state has changed. This is one of the clearest signs of divine guidance at work. When heaven leads, life does not necessarily become easier, but it becomes steadier. Archangel Michael is revealing that you are now being trusted with discernment that affects not just you, but those around you. People may begin to come to you for clarity, for reassurance, for perspective. This is not accidental. It is the result of alignment. When peace lives within you, others sense it, and that peace becomes a quiet testimony. Jesus is also addressing a subtle temptation that appears in seasons like this, the temptation to drift. Not away from God, but away from attentiveness. When things feel calm, it is easy to assume we no longer need to stay engaged. But guidance flows best when attention remains active. Presence keeps clarity sharp. That is why staying connected matters right now. Messages like this are not meant to be consumed passively. They are meant to be engaged with. When you like this video, when you leave a comment sharing what resonates, when you share it with someone who may need encouragement, you are actively participating in the flow of what God is doing. Engagement is not about numbers. It is about agreement. Subscribing to this channel is also a declaration. It says you are choosing consistency over convenience. You are choosing to remain connected to messages that ground you rather than distract you. And if you feel led, joining the membership creates a deeper rhythm of support and alignment during seasons when guidance matters most. Archangel Michael is emphasizing that attention determines direction. What you consistently give your focus to will shape your path. When you intentionally engage with messages that strengthen your spirit, you are reinforcing alignment. You are choosing nourishment over noise. Jesus is gently reminding you that this journey is not meant to be walked alone. Community matters. Shared encouragement matters. When you comment, when you interact, you are not just expressing yourself, you are reminding others that they are not alone either. That matters more than you realize. You may also notice that opportunities are beginning to present themselves differently. They may feel quieter, more aligned, less chaotic. This is because you are now filtering through discernment rather than urgency. You are learning to wait for peace before moving, rather than moving to find peace afterward. Archangel Michael is guarding this discernment carefully. He is helping you recognize when something is merely appealing versus when it is truly aligned. This protection will save you from unnecessary detours. Trust it. Jesus is speaking reassurance over your pace. You do not need to hurry to prove anything. You do not need to explain your process to everyone. What is meant for you will unfold in its proper time. Your role is to remain faithful in small, consistent ways. If at any point you feel tempted to disengage, to scroll past moments like this, pause. Remember why this message reached you. There is continuity here. Each layer builds on the last. And what comes next connects deeply with what you have already sensed in your spirit. Take a moment now to stay engaged. Like the video if this message resonates. Leave a comment expressing what you are feeling or what has shifted for you. Share it with someone who may need reassurance right now. Subscribe so you remain connected to what continues to unfold here. These actions keep you aligned with the guidance that has been carrying you forward. Wait for it, because what is about to be revealed next brings a sense of closure and confirmation that many have been quietly asking God for. Beloved one, you are now standing at the edge of completion, where what hath been forming within you begins to settle into certainty. This is not an ending that feels abrupt or emotional. It is an ending that feels calm, grounded, and assured. Archangel Michael remains present, not in alertness now, but in confirmation. His stance signals that what needed guarding hath been secured. Jesus is speaking with gentle authority, letting you know that the season of questioning is giving way to a season of knowing. There is a deep inner recognition happening. You may not be able to explain it fully, but you can feel it. Something inside you understands that you are no longer who you were when this message began. Not because life suddenly changed, but because you did. Your awareness expanded. Your fear softened. Your trust deepened. And that inner shift matters more than any external sign. Archangel Michael is revealing that stability has now been established. This stability is not dependent on circumstances. It does not rise and fall with moods or outcomes. It is anchored. This is important because what comes next in your life will require someone who is not easily shaken. And you are becoming that person, quietly, steadily, without force. Jesus is reminding you that clarity often arrives as peace rather than excitement. Many people miss it because they expect fireworks. But peace is the signal that heaven has aligned things properly. If your spirit feels settled right now, that is not coincidence. That is confirmation. You may reflect back on moments from earlier in your life when you felt lost, rushed, or pressured. Notice how different this feels. Even when you do not have all the details, there is a sense of trust that was not there before. That trust did not come from answers. It came from relationship. And relationship is what sustains you when answers are delayed. Archangel Michael is also emphasizing that you are now better equipped to handle uncertainty. Uncertainty no longer threatens your peace. It simply becomes part of the journey. You are learning how to walk forward without needing constant reassurance. This is spiritual maturity, and heaven recognizes it. Jesus is speaking compassionately about your past struggles. He says nothing you went through was wasted. Every delay refined you. Every disappointment taught discernment. Every moment of waiting strengthened your dependence on God rather than outcomes. You may not have chosen those lessons, but they shaped you in ways ease never could. There is also a quiet confidence forming in how you see the future. You are no longer desperate for it to arrive. You are no longer afraid of what it may hold. You trust that whatever comes, you will not face it alone. That trust changes everything. Archangel Michael is showing that your spiritual posture has shifted from seeking to standing. You are no longer searching anxiously for direction. You are standing firmly in alignment, ready to move when prompted, content to wait when necessary. This posture keeps you protected from unnecessary detours. Jesus is also preparing you for release. Not something dramatic, but something internal. The release of self-blame. The release of unrealistic expectations. The release of pressure to get everything right. He is reminding you that grace is part of the journey, not a reward at the end of it. You may notice that your prayers feel different now. Less frantic, less repetitive, more conversational. This is a sign that trust has replaced anxiety. You are no longer trying to convince God to act. You are walking with Him, step by step. Archangel Michael remains as a witness to this transition. His presence signifies that what hath been established will not be easily undone. You are not returning to old cycles. You are not slipping backward. You are moving forward with awareness that protects you. Jesus is offering reassurance one more time. He says you do not need to strive to maintain what has been given. Alignment is sustained through presence, not perfection. Stay connected. Stay aware. Stay open. That is enough. As this part of the message settles, allow yourself to acknowledge the growth that has taken place. Not with pride, but with gratitude. Something has changed. Something has matured. Something has stabilized. You are ready for what comes next. Not because you know everything, but because you trust the one who leads you. And the trust will carry you through whatever unfolds. Remain here for just a little longer. The final part will seal what has been spoken and release a blessing that brings full closure to this journey. My beloved child, this is the moment where everything comes into divine stillness. Not silence, but stillness, the kind where heaven rests its hand gently upon your life and says, "It is enough." Archangel Michael is standing in completion now, not with his sword raised, but lowered, because the battle for your attention had been won. You stayed. You listened. You aligned. And Jesus is speaking with deep tenderness, letting you know that what was released through this message has now been sealed within you. This final moment is not about urgency anymore. It is about assurance. The assurance that you did not miss God. The assurance that guidance is not slipping away from you. The assurance that heaven's door has not closed, but rather, you stepped closer to it. The fear that once whispered, "What if I walk away and lose direction?" hath been replaced with quiet confidence. You now know how to recognize His voice. You now know how peace feels when it leads you. Archangel Michael is confirming something powerful. The warning you sensed at the beginning was not about punishment. It was about protection. Heaven was calling your attention not because you were in danger, but because you were approaching a threshold. And thresholds require awareness. You crossed it by staying present. That alone shifted more than you realize. Jesus is now addressing your heart directly. He says, you do not need to chase guidance. My guidance will walk with you. From this point forward, you will notice a difference. Decisions will feel cleaner. Confusion will not linger as long. When something is not aligned, your spirit will sense it quickly. And when something is meant for you, peace will confirm it before logic does. There may still be challenges ahead. That is part of life. But you will face them differently now. Without panic, without rushing, without losing yourself in the process. You have learned how to pause, how to listen, how to stay connected. And those are skills that protect your destiny. Archangel Michael is placing a spiritual seal over this season. A seal of discernment. A seal of protection. A seal of continuity. What you gained here will not fade when this message ends. It will continue to work within you quietly, guiding you through moments when you least expect it. Jesus is also releasing rest into your spirit. Rest from overthinking. Rest from self-doubt. Rest from the pressure to have everything figured out. He says, walk with me. That is enough. And as you do, direction will unfold naturally. Before this message fully closes, there is one final activation meant to anchor everything you have received. Type I am guided and protected in the comments if you receive this message in faith. Blessing code 9091 is now released and sealed over your life. And now, hear this final invitation, flowing directly from what heaven has completed here. This message did not reach you by accident, and it will not stop with you unless you allow it to. Your soul standing at the same doorway you once stood at, unsure, distracted, close to walking away. When you gave through super thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are placing oil into a vessel God is using to reach them. The Lord is declaring right now, what you sow into my work, I will return with guidance, favor, and multiplied peace. This is not a suggestion. It is a divine response moment. I speak blessing over every giver, that your obedience will unlock direction, provision, and spiritual clarity in ways you cannot predict. Act now. Support this mission boldly. Let your seed speak where words cannot, and watch heaven respond.